how could technology also help that we do not consume that much from the rare resources of our Earth? And for me, this is what is driving me every morning working with my teams. And I have just gorgeous teams.
Welcome to our latest episode of Tech.Rulez.Period. My guest today says, tech made by people for people. Welcome Michael Müller-Wünsch, also known as Müwu, who is the CIO of Germany's largest online retailer, OTTO. Müwu, thanks for joining in today and welcome. Maybe you give us a bit of your journey and the importance of technology along you starting the digital ecosystem in OTTO. That's probably something that our guests are very interested in.
Yeah, thank you for having me here today, and that I have the opportunity to share some of our insights and experiences which we have gone through as OTTO, the digital platform within the OTTO Group in the last decade, I would say. I am since 2015 on board member of technology within the OTTO platform and working with 3 colleagues on transforming our traditional analog catalog-based business into, I would say today, digital ecosystem. And given that we are more than 7 decades now in place, doing business, the current situation, the current stage where digitization plays such a huge role is for me as a computer scientist and computer engineers of the early days a really fascinating and awesome time.
And your journey has also been, let's say, awarded. I mean, you are currently the CIO of the year, so congratulations for that.
Thank you.
Again, if you look at the way, and you said you studied, I think, artificial intelligence, as we call it today, or künstliche Intelligenz here in the German-speaking market for quite some time. So for you, today is actually what the fuss around AI is what you know since, I don't know, 15 years, or maybe you tell us a bit. Your view on technology and AI specifically, how has it changed, evolved over time? Yeah, you say also you're on board level. I mean, that's an important aspect of running and maintaining that momentum. Your view on how it has developed over the years?
Yes. From my perspective, our key shareholder, Professor Otto, and also the other responsible stakeholders of the group have taken a courageous decision to establish on board level, with, I would say, an equal say on board level, the function of technology almost 10 years ago. Oh, wow. So, and today I work with the marketing function, with traditional purchasing function as we are retailing, marketplace function, but also finance, of course, together with 3 marvelous colleagues. And I try to enable through technology our business development. And I believe that this is one of the key success factors why a traditional and established company and organization, as OTTO has been seen and treated for decades, and has maybe even survived in these raw and also capital-intensive days of today. And so technology has always a voice when we have discussions on board level. It's constantly on the agenda. And given my own personal career, as you said, I studied in the early 80s at the Technical University. First, I started with computer science, Informatik in Germany. And later on, I added also the business administration, BWL. So today we would call Wirtschaftsinformatik. Yeah. And then I fall in love with artificial intelligence 82, 83. I would say the second stage of the AI developments over the last decades. And I worked intensively, and I even researched intensively for more than a decade what could be the application areas of AI in our environment. And in those days, I always believed that AI can be an assistant, an enabler, not a replacer, helping individuals with their work, with their task. So what I today very often discuss with people who are maybe worried or fascinated by the most recent AI developments, that I say the first thing is that we will enable and assist tasks, because AI so far had been very specific. You can't do with an AI of image recognition the same thing with text recognition. Human being, they are able to. So an application for image recognition will work for images, but not for text, and vice versa. Meanwhile, with the Gen AI development, there's a new play in front of us. But given maybe the organizational setup and what I see, those organizations which have understood that there will be no future without technology, and really deep understanding of technology within organization, in many organizations at least, I think they have a great chance to stay in business in the future. So I'm always talking in the way, if you have set up your HR structures in the way that it's future oriented, you have your tech organization future ready, then you will be business ready. So business future ready. So these two functions for me today, have the best people, have the best technology, will enable you that you can have best business. From maybe this is the kind of easy equation. And though my board members, they are specialists in finance, in marketing, they have a high affinity to talk with me through the new impulses coming, for instance, from Gen AI. I made a session in our last board meeting last December, when there was the first
AI coming up. So
AI things coming up. And then I showed them, look, this is how it could look like in the year 23. And I have to admit, I'm even on my own, I'm really overwhelmed by the pace which is coming from all the markets and industries.
And that would have been a question now on how you elaborate on it. Did you actually expect that it comes that fast and with such momentum, like for somebody that is in that field for 15 years or whatever? Or is that also even surprising for you?
The intensity, the broadness in a way, the easiness on one hand was even for me surprising. And if you see the big players coming from the technology foundations, what they have invented and made feasible in the last couple of months is just awesome. Now we have, of course, to open up the discussion how we can do a responsible technology business with given opportunities. And I was just sitting together with our compliance committees. And so how do we apply in a reasonable and responsible manner especially the Gen AI capacities? And for those who might be aware that in Brussels, the European Community is just thinking of an AI Act, a regulation that Europe stands in for our ethical value system. That we do not want to have negative discrimination and anything which is a kind of abuse of the technology. So very often we see two sides of a coin when it comes to innovation and technology. And with Gen AI, I think we have to make up our minds that we have a responsible usage and application of the technology. But from the core of the technology, the opportunities, the possibilities, the reach of all of it is even for me, who started 40 years ago with AI, and we were doing in our research lab at the Technical University distributed AI even and simulating autonomous driving, how that might look like with huge machines, which today fits into a small smartphone. That was in those, or that had been in those days one of the limitations, and that's why we also fall into the AI winter in the late 90s, the early 2000s, and then we could even talk now about traditional AI, which has beforehand, we now entering the Gen AI era. And yesterday I talked to our CEO, and as I do have the capacities on my own, I don't need my engineers around me. I demonstrated them how easy it could be to change the whole setup of our OTTO digital ecosystem in a way that will be really fascinating. And given the fact that I actually come from a family who have sold fashion items through a store for more than a century in Berlin, and I know my grandma, she was very servant to our customers. I could imagine that we have a same more serving and interacting way of doing retail business compared what today is that you have maybe a screen with 10 items and then you have to do the selection. But what would it be if you have a kind of consultative selling process with an interaction? And I have just seen with one of my teams, they opened up my heart, I have to admit, because I said, hey, look, guys, I would like to have the following solution. I would like to talk to the system and say, I would like to have blue shorts, size L, less than $40. And then they said, look, Michael, or Müller, as they always say to me, we have made an MVP. They have crawled our website with the 15 million SKUs, which we are serving today. And so we have a database, and they build it up within a couple of days, and you see the speed, how you can at least get a smell and feel on that topic. And then they said, okay, now we rephrase it, what you have just said. And then there were 3 items shown up. And then I asked in my next day, well, they look beautiful, but what about sustainability of the composition of the materials? And I said, okay, this blue one is coming from recycled cotton. I said, oh, that's great. And as I talked to you, I did it to the machine.
Yeah, okay.
And this machine was always serving as somebody, as a merchant would do in a store. And I said, okay, this one I really love, and I do live in Hamburg. And then now you see also some of the limitation. How long would it take that it will be delivered to my door? And I said, well, this information are not yet available, but do a breakout to OTTO. There are all the delivery conditions are available, and most likely you will receive it within 2 to 4 days.
Okay.
So and then and that was, you know, and the easiness to set up that kind of dialogue, the easiness how they have crawled and scrapped all product data, where we don't have to build up new engines on that because it's all in these large language models, and you need to have some smart engineers. You can very easily think of new situations which had been not foreseeable a year ago. And just think of one more thing, which even made me and you feel that high.
I actually see the enthusiasm on the topic.
Think of if you go really to the fashion store, and then you would say, okay, if you put on your camera, we take a pic of your person, if you like to, and then we put on via AI technology the dress on your body, and then you can see it and turn it how it would like on you, whether it's nice size and color and whatever. Technically, it's feasible.
Okay.
Technically, it's feasible. Well, of course, there are a lot of things to be thought through, but by the end of the day, and that's what I mean, technology-wise, with this new development of Gen AI, there are so many areas touchable and thinkable. Where I would say I'm somehow in the scene, in the industry, would have not foreseen last year summer.
Crazy, yeah.
And we see also other developments where there had been buzzwords on application areas, on virtual realities and models, where we see, yes, maybe in B2B there's an arena for these offerings. But with Gen AI, this will go through all industry. It will go horizontally. It will go vertically, and companies need to prepare on that. And what I try to do, I would like to do to encourage it. Germany, where we have some strong research centers on AI, some strong also system integrators, organizations who can consult very efficiently, that we create a network and say, okay, we want to be in that race, and we do not want to give it either to the eastern part of our globe or the western part of our globe. And I have a strong belief that this also can be at least a small lever on the question, how do we cope with the shortage of skilled resources?
Okay.
Because in the moment you start thinking of that you can assist somebody, you can free up capacities. But if you see the forecast on our working capacities and the demography of Germany, in Germany, we need to think of solutions. And I don't think that Gen AI will solve all of that. But it could be, at least in my understanding, it could be an idea that many organizations use assistance from one of the vendors. It's called a co-pilot for software development, for instance. Think of the shortage of software developers in Germany, and we know the productivity gains which could come with co-pilots.
Okay. I mean, I could actually endlessly listen to. I mean, you have a lot to tell. But there was one nuance which also fits a bit to the hypothesis we have in Tech.Rulez.Period, which is that you have to have technology stewardship on board level. And I think in what you just said, it fits perfectly in that you said it needs to be responsible technology. I mean, we just heard a lot about Gen AI. And I know you did some research on it, on tech competence on board level. In very brief for our audience, what did you figure out? Is there already enough on board level, or are you like a seldom animal sitting on board level with tech competence?
Well, there are industries where you would actually believe that tech is already an established function on board level. Well, finance, assurance, and so on. What we have figured out is that very often it's a combination of that. You have maybe finance and IT, you have HR, but you seldomly have persons, as me, for instance, who have really a deep knowledge, even a current and actual knowledge on technology on board level. That's what you can state. And also, I did another survey on the supervisory board levels, that also the placement of technology and digitalization competence and experience is rare.
Okay.
So, and if you think that the supervisory board normally is responsible to set up the board on one level, I think we have to go through the whole chain and see how we can establish really a solid, not an embracing understanding of technology. Within our business, technology and data had always played a huge role. Because when you are a distance seller, what we did since 1949, we have never seen a customer face to face. We always used, when we sent out our catalogs 49 last century, we received the feedback, the orders, the phone calls, and with these data, we started to evolve and develop our new offerings. But we have never seen the person, Dominic or Sandra or whomsoever, as a person. So it was always based on data. So I was always saying, actually, OTTO is from the very beginning on a data-driven company.
Yeah.
And that's why also data as an asset plays such a huge role. And coming back, what does it mean? We see so too seldom that we really have people who have kind of engineering experiences or at least a long-lasting management experience on running IT businesses, digitization businesses. And I said either you really have a computer engineering education, diploma, certificate, and have then probably developed on board level, or you have maybe by cross-fertilization gained so much experience what it means to have really in-depth knowledge and not. And I normally hate it because it makes you as an organization so slow when you have discussions on technology, and then I have to ask my specialist, and then it takes time and it takes time and you never get done.
Okay.
You know, of course, I don't know everything. The developments are too fast on that one, but I believe my teams, they know that I still can give some good impulses now, especially with AI, given my own experience on that one. But by the end of the day, if you have a solid experience and you have an open mindset with the other board members, this is also a crucial thing.
Yeah, okay.
Because very often colleagues of mine say, well, Michael, you have really an easy position. You are now on board level. I said, yes, but I'm one of 4, so it's only 25%. And I very often have to convince my colleagues why it's so very important really to talk tech on board level. And we, for instance, they agreed, because I've pushed them hard on that, that we have regularly discussions on our IT security on board level. Okay. So what is the security arena, just what is happening there, so that they do have an understanding why we do have, if you're doing digital business, you try to do trustful business, and trust comes with security.
Okay.
And that's why I'm always stating that you have to have a sufficient amount of security investments if you want to have a trustful business for your consumers and partners. Okay. And so it's not every week not each time on our board sessions, but we have a regular rhythm on that topic.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and they get also very often fascinated because sometimes it's really kind of digging into a crime business.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. I mean, as a last element of this conversation, even though, as I said, right, I could actually endlessly listen. Society, technical or technology, and then the view from a societal perspective. That's also how I sort of got to know you when I was listening to a speech, and I said to you prior to this format that I was quite fascinated by how you look at it. Could you briefly give us your personal view on technology in our society?
Well, I think we all face situation where we are shocked in a way or annoyed that we are not that advanced on technology throughout our society, be it education, be it health systems, be it everywhere. And then everybody is calling for the government, for politic infrastructure. And yes, that's right. But if you see how long it takes, and that's also our political setup of our society, I believe that those who know, who do have the capacities, who do have the experience, they should act. I do not want to wait for any state regulation on politics, because they are just overwhelmed by this huge development, the pace of development, for those who even don't have an explicit education and training on that topic. So I believe we need to work and collaborate on all levels when it comes to education of our kids, but even when it goes into the universities or in other training setups, I believe we have to think on, especially also in Germany, how we can gain more talents from segments of our society which are normally overseen, which are women and young ladies, because we see it currently, we have less than 20% of women working in the tech industry or in tech departments of organizations. But we have a 50-50 share in our society. So why it is so? And there are so many fascinating job profiles. It's not, I'm not against programming, but it's not only programming. There is so much on designing, on user interfaces, on responsibility, on steering tech projects, where women could bring a new flavor into the solution. But we have forgotten and have not put too much or sufficiently focus on that to attract them. I have stated once, a couple of years ago, I want that every new position, 50% shall be filled with a woman. And I'm always, I get every month a report, and every month where we reach 50 or even more, I think it was May, where we had 65%, and we have more than 1,000. We are not talking about 1 or 2, we are talking about 10 or 15. And what we meanwhile see is, if you have 1 or 2 or 10 women, the next come far easier. You have to start that journey. And then just think how we could now use that capacity with the diversity, that you have different perspectives, solutions within your teams. It's just gorgeous. And the third one, when it comes to society, is, and again, we do not have to wait on others, it's on our own, that we try to have an impact on our sustainability footprint. And to be very frank and blunt on that, for me, it's the most important topic which we have to solve in our society. How do we create an environment that future generations have a chance to survive on that planet? Currently, it looks like
big question.
That there's a big question mark behind that question. And for those who do have the capacities, either it's sustainability within the IT. We know that there's a huge energy consumption, especially when it comes to Gen AI, by and through technology. But how could technology also help that within other processes, supply chain operations, and you name it, we do not consume that much from the rare resources of our Earth. And for me, this is what is driving me every morning, working with my teams. And I have just the gorgeous teams, which made it even possible that we received that award for a tech organization in an established business where nobody had ever believed that traditional catalog business will be once so prominent in the tech scene, at least in Germany or in Europe, I would say.
Müller, it's phenomenal to actually listen and to feel the enthusiasm. Unfortunately, this format has sort of an end. But what we have basically learned is a bit of how retail could look like in the future. I think you shed some light on, from a technology perspective, what it can mean for each and every one of us. I mean, at the end, it's a B2C sort of business. We've also heard that there is a bit to do on technology on board level, even though you are and you can make these responsibility checks when it comes to technology. And I think then for me, women in tech was one topic, which we sort of also in my organization actually work very hard on. And then sustainability, I think that is a topic that we as a world society probably have to work quite strongly on. And a personal note, I actually have the reasoning why you are the CIO of the year, because I think like the emotions just come over in this conversation. So thank you very much, Müller, and thanks for being here.
Thank you very much for that nice talk.